Askreddit thread. What is not nearly as dangerous as people tend to believe? My grandma seems to think a microwave is the equivalent of a nuclear bomb in the kitchen. Well, it doesn't help that nuking it is a phrase for heating up food in the microwave. It doesn't help that food is heated with nuclear radiation waves. When's Obama going to show his birth certificate? When I was a kid, someone once told me that it's unsafe to be in the same room as a running microwave. I asked them to tell me how they turned on the microwave from a different room. Don't stand directly in front of it. Tick cancer. I opened the door of a microwave once and was told that was bad. That I needed to hit stop twice or something, even though it was already stopped. Yeah, the second one will absorb all the radiation that was put on during the time it was on. That mindset is actually more or less common back when commercial microwaves ovens were introduced. Think about it, an entirely new way to cook things, using invisible energy that the average person hadn't even thought about, let alone used to cook regularly. More than a few people were bound to be skeptical and expect the worst from it. Similar thing happened with cell phones, I believe. Eating food that is a day or two after the expiration date. My roommate refuses to believe this. He throws a hissy fit every time there's old food in the fridge. It's so irritating. I just eat it right in front of him when he gets upset. My roommate's girlfriend one time had a hysterical meltdown because a friend and I were eating cookie dough because she thought we were going to get salmonella and die. Well, I mean, that is a good way to get salmonella, but the chances aren't all that high. Jesus, it's cookie dough, not salmon. She needs to get a grip. I think I read somewhere that salmonella comes from the egg, uncooked egg, although it's a very, very low percentage you can get from it, but don't quote me on it. What? Ew, that looks gross, actually. Flying in an airplane. With an engine failure, as long as there is no airframe/structure damage, a plane will naturally glide for an emergency landing. It won't just fall out of the sky. Let's see. I agree. Traveling by cars is way more dangerous than by plane. If you travel by car, then plane, of course there's more dangerous than just the plane by itself. I know pilots who cut and engines just to save fuel, and you need a little rudder trim. What? Nuclear reactors are actually pretty safe. As someone who did a report on nuclear reactors in my environmental science class, I can attest to this. Safest form of energy that we have. It's too bad that shit like 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl get more publicity than the combined suffering caused by mining accidents, air pollution, and the like. It's because mining accidents are slow and drawn out, so news outlets don't find use in reporting any of them. Gotcha. Especially since it impacts a small subset of the population. Air pollution is similar, since it's not newsworthy. I love nuclear power. I am studying it to try and advance the field, but I understand why many people dislike/fear it. Nuclear power is unsafe, he said, while drinking water contaminated from fracking. Let's see, I did a report on the incident at 3 Mile Island back in high school. If I remember correctly, had no one touched anything, nothing would have happened. The fail-safes were all working properly and would have fixed the problem. Let's see, the Wikipedia article seems to vaguely agree with my very hazy memory. The accident began with failures in the non-nuclear secondary system, followed by a stuck-open pilot-operated relief valve in the primary system, which allowed large amounts of nuclear reactor coolant to escape. The mechanical failures were compounded by the initial failure of the plant operators to recognize the situation as a loss of coolant accident due to inadequate training of human factors, such as human-computer interactions, design oversights relating to ambiguous control rooms indicators of the power plant's user interface. In particular, a hidden indicator light led to an operator manually overriding the automatic emergency cooling system of the reactor because the operator mistakenly believed that there was too much coolant water present in the reactor, causing the steam pressure release. Similar thing with Chernobyl. IRC tests were being done on the reactor. The reactor started going through a period of instability. Those in charge decided that tests should continue anyway. The reactor gets worse and worse. Tests continue. Got to the point where the reactor was completely unstable, and what do you know? Meltdown. Chernobyl's running fine too, until some asshats decided to see how far they could push the plant past its safety limits. They found out. Sharks. I swim with sharks numerous times. It really depends on the shark. Nurse sharks, meh. Bull sharks of various sons of bitches. Bull sharks of... are vicious sons of bitches. I think he meant to put R instead of. But generally, they are not any more dangerous than any other large predatory animal, and funny enough, are significantly less dangerous than hippos. Hippos are killer. GMOs. Though I think that most of Reddit is aware of this at this point. Man, this kid in my class did a school project on the dangers of GMOs, and halfway through he realized that they weren't really dangerous. Please tell me he had an epiphany halfway through his presentation, not the project itself, because that would be hilarious. Equally as frightening, new research suggests that GMOs could reduce malnutrition and vitamin deficiency by over 70% worldwide. Wait, what? Muttering under his breath, God damn it, Mom, you need to read these things before you give them to me. It continues trying to act natural. All in all, I have come to the conclusion that GMOs are bad for the human race because of their ability to provide an abundance of food. Wait, what? Their history of providing added nutritional values, FS Mom. And lastly, GMOs are more often than not safer to eat than conventional or organic foods. Any questions? Yeah, so you say they're safe to eat. Thanks for the time, Professor. That's all I have for today. Oh god, I just had a flashback to my first college class. We had to give a speech about anything we wanted, and it had to last for 10 minutes, I think. And I did mine about why Kurt Cobain is essentially my hero. And then describing how he died, his stupid antics and other dumb stuff, I realized 75% of the way through how stupid of a topic I chose. Really? I'd love to hear this in more detail. This was a couple years back when I was in 8th grade. We had to make the capstone projects, which were basically projects about helping the world / doing good. Being the obnoxious middle schoolers we were, no one wanted to do anything. They were supposed to take a year, but most people, including me, did theirs in the last week or so. The kid who did the project on GMOs was / is a really smart kid, and I'm still friends with him. The teacher gave the idea to him, so he started researching for like a week, and then he didn't do anything for about 6 or 7 months. Then he started up again. He found out that GMOs are probably fine, but by then it was too late, and our teacher was pretty anti-GMO. So the only thing he could do was to finish the project and ignore a lot of studies. He got a 95% if I remember correctly. Our teachers told us it would be worth a lot of points. It was worth 20. A test was 100 to 500 points. Remember, we were supposed to be working on these for almost the whole year. Although it's not really funny or anything, that's the context. That's not worth a lot of points at all. For those of you who don't know what GMOs are, those are like the things they use to modify plants. That way they can grow them quicker. And a lot of hippies don't like them because they're not natural. Chicago. We are considered the murder capital of the U.S. and all that. But the violence, if very concentrated in a few communities. But the violence is very Okay, I think that's what he meant to type out. I don't live in a rich neighborhood or anything, but never feel unsafe whatsoever. Nice try, Chicago Department of Tourism. Skydiving. It's the land without a parachute that gets you. Flying commercially. You're statistically more likely to die in a car accident on your way to the airport. In fact, there are more car accident fatalities in the United States in 1 year compared to the entire history of commercial aviation. I made a nice little top 10 video about accident facts on my top 10 channel. This would probably be a really good one to put on there. The video came out like literally the day I'm reading this. Any idiot can get a license to drive a car. The same can't be said about pilots, especially commercial pilots. It's really sad how easy it is to get a driver's license in the USA. In many places in America, it is pretty much a necessity to have a vehicle, though. Yes, you should still be capable and qualified. I think the general feeling is that people feel that they have more control over a situation to prevent their death in a car. Let's see, hackers. You work minimum wage and have no credit cards or savings. No one wants to hack you and steal your photos like the celebs at one event a few years back. Hackers. Probably no one wants my photos, but since I have no credit card or savings, I was in a real pickle the 3 times in the past year that my debit card got cloned or whatever. The bank reversed the charges each time, but my account was frozen for like a week each time. The majority of adult men are around young children. My brother was a swim instructor. He loves working with kids. He's super animated and had gotten a lot of kids to talk to him when they were too shy to talk to anyone but their mom. He's been requested specifically by mothers who said their little boy needed someone to be a positive male influence, since the boy didn't have a father and too many women raising him. He's the big teddy bear that brings out the best in children. I still remember having to go through special training about how careful we had to be when handling children in the water, because not only is swimming a hands-on learning experience, but the children were wearing less clothing on top of it. It broke my brother's heart when one of the kids had been extremely successful was transferred to a female instructor because her mommy finally showed up to a lesson and refused to let a man hold her. What was worse was that the female instructor she switched to was new and couldn't handle temper tantrums. The girl stopped learning. It's truly sad to see how society reacts towards men with children. It's like we're setting them up to fail as fathers because we won't give them a chance to be around kids and figure it out. This is wrong on so many levels. I was wanting to get a part-time job as a swimming coach for young children, but that was my one worry. I know of coaches that are still in high school that have had this situation happen with them. This is just sad that there's such a taboo for a man to be alone with a kid. So many problems in this country, USA, are because the news is reported by for-profit companies that need to attract viewers over competitors to stay in business. Local news found out years and years ago that sensationalism sells more than sober reporting of facts. Daylight kidnappings by strangers is a crime so rare that it's almost non-existent. When a child is kidnapped or abused, it is almost always someone who knows the child or the parent who does. But when it does happen, it's a huge story. With cell phone and crime rates at multi-decade lows, it's way safer for kids to be out alone than it was in the 70s or 80s. But modern parents live in fear. Yep. Spiders. There are very few species with venom that can actually kill you. The spiders that live in your rooms will do nothing to you. They fear you, for it is all in your head. Spiders are cute. Spiders are not cute, they're gross. Although, I don't kill them. I usually just let them hang out. Logically, I know most spiders won't kill me. They still freak me the fuck out, though. And walking through their webs outside, hell no. That's how I imagine this guy was writing this comment. Spiders don't scare the shit out of me because they're dangerous. They scare the shit out of me because they have 8 legs and look like deformed aliens or some shit. Spiders are cute. Yes. My grandparents were immigrants and grew all their own food. They used to tell me how spiders were good and kept the pest out. Occasionally they would slip into the house, but they usually won't stick around long unless there's a source of food. Backyard trampolines. I swear, some parents would rather their kid never have any fun at all than risk minor injury. I begged my mom to get a trampoline. We used it almost every day for about 3 years straight. I only had to go to the hospital once. Only one of my friends got a serious concussion and a chipped tooth. And just my cousin broke his leg in half. But that's part of growing up. Shit's getting serious here. I'm gonna assume this accident was on the last day of those 3 years. Guys, this is the last day of our trampoline. Go big or go home. Oh, it reminds me, we had a trampoline in our backyard for a while. No one ever got injured on it. Well, it's not like injuries are all that common. It's just if you use them enough times, something's gonna happen because it's a dangerous thing. All my friends had tramps growing up. At one point, we had 3 trampolines placed around each other. One was dug into the ground too, so we just jump off like 10-foot playset things onto the first tramp, onto the tramp in the ground, and then one on the other. We were serious about our trampolines. I wish I had one when I was growing up. We didn't actually get one until I was already like a senior in high school. It was mainly just for my little brother. I still played on it for sure, but it probably just wasn't as fun since I was like a 230-pound lineman built full of muscle. I was too heavy for it. On the other hand, trampolines are something you have to maintain. You can't just leave them outside and expect them to stay relatively safe. We had a trampoline outside our house, and it got half rusty and a branch fell in the net, so there was no net anymore. A neighbor girl broke her leg on it and she didn't even fall off. It's just that a rusty part snapped and caused the high tension trampoline part to snap IP real fast, but the trampoline still worked after that, so we kept using it only for a month later when my brother fell off and broke his arm so bad it looked like spaghetti noodle. Ow. He now has a metal plate in his arm and the fridge magnets stick to it. What I'm saying is trampolines are safe, but almost nobody I've ever known who had one maintains them properly, so they become more dangerous. Same way cars are safe unless you never maintain them. It's the fault of shitty families like mine that trampolines have a bad rep. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass on the trampoline. Thank you very much. Yeah, ours got really rusty because we left it out in the rain and it eventually just broke. Germs in general. The health benefits of washing your hands after every meal and using hand sanitizer anytime you touch a shopping cart and throwing away food because it's past the expiration date is probably less than the health benefit of just chilling the fuck out about it a little bit. Well, washing your hands after a meal is kind of pointless. I'd say it depends what you're up to. A lot of nasty illnesses can be prevented by good hygiene, but that doesn't mean you want to live in a sterile bubble. Black people. And while we're at it, Muslims and Mexicans. Antarcticans are a reckless and dangerous group of anarchic thugs, though. Filthy penguin worshippers. The global warming apocalypse can't come soon enough, I say. MSG. Always get into huge arguments with my parents about this. What's MSG? The only dangerous part is how good it makes my food taste, to the point that I'm shoveling the food in my mouth so fast that I might choke. Just had Chinese food for lunch. So good. I recently found out, last week actually, my sister gets headaches each time she eats MSG. Little does she know she's been eating MSG at my house each time we had food together for the past couple of years. Here's an interesting test. Tell her that she might retroactively look back and say, oh wait, I did feel a little weird after eating your house. Or she'll be reasonable and change her views. My mom tried retroactively say that she felt odd after eating at my house. Some people have trouble accepting when they are wrong. I've considered it. It sounds terrible, but I kind of decided to tuck it away in my back pocket for a rainy day if I should ever need a good comeback. She's exactly the type to be hard-headed about being wrong, so I'm pretty sure she'd go along with your mom. It's just mainly frustrating because I come from a family who loves to cook. When we get together, the food is always damn good and there are rarely complaints, other than being stuffed by the gills. Stuffed to the gills. There have only 2 confirmed unprovoked wolf attacks in North America since European colonists have arrived. What? That's not half bad. Removing tags from pillows. What do people think is dangerous about this? There is a warning not to remove the tag under penalty of law. The person who buys the pillow can remove it. There's also on mattresses. I didn't know they had one on pillows. Men, we are not looking to date rape you or abduct/abuse your children. Well, that's exactly what a date raper would say. Traveling. I did 2 months in Southeast Asia this summer, and I was stunned to hear the stigma around it from so many people back home. Everyone was asking whether I got robbed and how I didn't get my identity stolen. How being brown and having a beard could have me associated with criminals, about the hostels, and many times I surely must have got my stuff stolen by all the notorious crooks who go backpacking across Asia and looked to steal my $5 swim shorts. I met some of the best people abroad. The locals are incredible to talk to and are so much more chill than anyone I've ever met. They have no malicious intent, for the most part. They're nice to you, and if you're nice back, they're even nicer. Yes, you shouldn't be naive and leave your possessions hanging out your back pocket, your money lying on your bed in a 20-bedroom room in a hostel, or trust a stranger when they tell you they're a fabulous restaurant down this dark alley that you must try, but you wouldn't do this stuff at home. Why do it in another country? Ultimately, it was just from people being scared of change, scared that, because they're unfamiliar with the culture, it must be detrimental to them. But aside from your standard scams, I didn't encounter one incident where I feared for my safety. It just seems people look for reasons not to take risks instead of rewards that can be achieved from taking the risks. Maybe I should go backpacking through Southeast Asia. Cell phones, but not while you're driving. They operate a radio frequency and can't possibly give you cancer from the radiation. The intensity of their photons is about 1/millionth the intensity of what a light bulb puts out. Wow. Yes, also phones and petrol stations. I've seen a cashier screaming at passengers like they were about to detonate a bomb. Someone needs to point out that the phones don't care if it's on your ear. Also, the pretense is crap. It is not dangerous. What? The bug catcher trainer in Pokemon that always has 3 Caterpies and a Metapod. He's fucking dangerous. He took out my 3 Metapods and a Caterpie. Completely unrelated, but the first time I played Heart Gold, I didn't get Joey's number, so instead this bug catcher would pester me, calling, "Fuck you, Wade. Fuck your Caterpies." Nuclear energy, Detroit. People who haven't been seem to view it as some sort of escape from New York-style atmosphere. As with any big city, it's primarily dangerous in the bad areas, not the entire city. I lived in Detroit for 6 months when a room became available to sublet for the remainder of the lease. It was a great place to live. Awesome to live at if you're in your 20s right now. Lots of fun people to meet, lots of cool things going on. Visiting Mexico or Los Angeles. But the traffic, though, that's the dangerous part. Hot air balloons. Many are afraid to fly in one, even though their overall safety record is good. To be fair, you're being supported by a whisker basket being propelled by fire. 4chan. TIL. Nothing is dangerous. Today I learned. Eating raw eggs. It's totally normal in other places of the world, but if I tell someone I eat raw eggs, I suddenly have salmonella. MMA. MMA is viewed as brutal because 2 dudes are going at it in a ring beating the heck out of each other. There is blood, bruising, and swelling. Football injuries tend not to show blood, and when the hard hits start manifesting itself, the player is far from relevance that people rarely care. MMA is brutal, though. You can't sweep that under the rug. Anyone who had stepped into a cage isn't going to argue against that. Much, much safer than boxing or football. Because it's over so fast. That's what your wife said about you last night. Being a cop. That's not dangerous. If you look at murderers on the job, statistically it's not in the top 10. However, you wear 30 pounds of gear on a daily basis that wrecks your back. You constantly deal with needle exposure risk. You often have people assault you. Yeah, it's not the worst in terms of deadly risk, but it's still most definitely a dangerous job. I know, donut shops are some of the safest places. They're linked to the mountains of heart attacks and diabetes cases, so I wouldn't be too sure about that. Troubleshooting computer errors. Come on, guys, it's not going to bite your head off. Nuclear war. Yes, it would be terrible, but the species wouldn't go extinct. In general, the idea that the human race is going to go extinct is pretty preposterous. Environmental catastrophes, a bad disease, a dinosaur extinction level asteroid, these would all suck big time, but the species would survive. We survived ice ages that lasted tens of thousands of years when our only technology was fire and sharp rocks. We're really tough animals. Any Fallout fan knows that the human race is a tough old bastard. I don't know, the new Fallout game came out today or something. I've never actually really played that game series before.